Hey, it's Chris. I want to talk about leadership. This last week on my Twitter feed, I came across an article that was on fastcompany.com, Fast Company magazine. It was written by Gwen Moran. Her Twitter handle is @GwenMoran. I'll put that on the bottom of the screen. But this article was how to spot future leaders and really what companies should look for when they're looking to promote or hire from within to find a person that is maybe being underutilized to put them into a leadership role. So she points out about 7 things that companies should look for. The first one is the advisor. Look for that person that people within a company go to for advice. This is somebody who is sought after and they usually have really great ideas. That tends to be somebody who will be good in a leadership type role. The next one she mentions is the fixer. This is somebody that never says no. They'll always accept a challenge, never say die, as it says in the article, and really optimistic, and they just will take on any situation. Another one's the motivator. I think this is probably one of the most important aspects of a leader, and that is being able to motivate a group of people to do something or accomplish a certain task. It talks about the listener. We know how important it is to listen these days. God gave us 2 ears for a reason. We need to be very good listeners and hear what people are saying. The specialist, she talks about the trainee. And then lastly, the prioritizer. The prioritizer, which is somebody who always has the company's best interest at heart. They always have the big picture in their mind. They don't worry about the small little things. They always have the end result within their vision. So I just want to say this is a great article. And what it did was it kind of inspired a few tweets that started going back and forth between me and a couple other gentlemen. And the comment that I made, which might surprise some of you, is I said not everybody is a leader and not everybody can become a leader. See, what happens is companies will see a person. Let's say they see a guy who drives the forklift in a warehouse. He's a great forklift driver, does an excellent job. So they take that guy and they decide, you know what, we need a warehouse manager, let's hire him. Just because he's good at managing himself and his job on his forklift does not mean that he should be managing an entire warehouse and a bunch of employees underneath him. It doesn't equate to being good at one to be good at another. And this is a mistake that a lot of companies make. I had this discussion a few weeks ago with a client where we were talking about just that, to where all of a sudden now the company needs to find somebody to replace the forklift driver they just lost. And they also need someone to replace the new manager they just hired because they're not a good manager. So just remember one thing. When you talk about leadership versus management, management is something that you can do to yourself. You can manage yourself. You can manage yourself. You cannot manage other people. You cannot manage other people. You lead other people. I really want to make the distinction today because I just have a real problem when a company decides, because I worked with a company recently that they just took their titles within their company and they decided to call their managers leaders. So they basically, they called them leaders instead of managers, whereas everybody still referred to them as managers, but they called them leaders. And with that, they somehow were better leaders. And that's just not the case at all. I strongly believe that not everyone can be a good leader. You can learn to be a good manager. You can learn the skills necessary to get your team to do whatever it is you're asking them to do, whatever task to accomplish. You can learn to give compliments. You can learn to build people up. You can learn those skills from books and from listening to tapes or really going to seminars. You can do those things, but I'm talking about a leader. Somebody that was born with an ability to lead people. That person that people always follow them. That person that naturally motivates. Let's look at singers. Some of the most amazing voices out there. Celine Dion, Whitney Houston, Josh Groban. These are voices that are timeless. They're amazing voices. I don't care how many hours of voice lessons a person takes. They're not going to be able to have that voice. That would be crazy. You would sound foolish to say, with enough training, you'll be able to sound just like them. Now, I'm not talking about a pianist. Sure, somebody could learn to play the piano. You could get years and years and years of training, some of the best teaching and instruction out there, and learn how to play magnificent on the piano. We're not talking about that. There are certain things and certain abilities that are reserved for somebody that falls into that, what I call leadership role. It is a very elite, small group of people. It's like a salesperson. You know, if you take a salesperson, just because somebody's in sales or they say that they have that title doesn't mean that they really are. A true salesperson has to be able to present a product, has to be able to overcome objections, has to be able to ask for the order. And there's a lot of people out there that I would call them an order taker because they really are not salespeople. They're not doing what it takes. Now, at one point, they might not have been as good as they are today. Maybe they've learned a lot. They've read the books, because there's a ton of books out there. They've gone to seminars and they've picked up a lot of skills and they have developed themselves into a better salesperson. But I'm talking about that elite salesperson, that person in leadership that can have people follow them no matter what. That's an amazing person, and that is a very, very small group. So I will not say that everyone could be at that level. It's just not gonna happen. I don't believe it. Today's point really is simple. Don't misunderstand, don't confuse the term management and leadership, because they are completely different. Completely different. Subscribe below, leave some comments if you want, and remember, don't wait for your success. Go out and take it.